Thanks for tuning in to Evangelism Resources and the resources that we have available. One of the important books that I want to advocate here is by Geoffrey Bingham, and it's an outstanding book talking about being at the end of his tether. And this is a very interesting title. If you've ever heard like at the end of his rope or at the end of his tether, I've often said to people that God helps those who are at the end of themselves. It's not God who helps those who help themselves. No, God helps those who have reached the end of themselves. And this book actually is a very, very important book that, particularly for the Western culture, where it seems as if humanism and the advocacy of human power and human ability and human rights and human freedom means that many people are deceived into thinking that even before God they're able to justify themselves and they're able to present themselves to God, and if the worst happened and they die, they have a sense of a self-confidence about their own performance, that they're able to walk into the presence of God and experience his acceptance without any real understanding of the nature of the cross and the necessity of the cross and the holiness of God and the true nature in terms of anthropology, the true nature of human beings in terms of their corruption or the fact that they're spoiled and need redemption. This book actually, Geoffrey Bingham makes a good clear picture about how human beings in their pride have a kind of an innate ability which is opposed to the will of God and opposed to God's purposes and in fact opposed to God's grace. And you see the strength and the power of the human condition in its opposition to the nature of grace that God has on offer. And I think it echoes a little bit about what Luther was doing in fighting with Erasmus in terms of his whole idea in terms of the bondage of the will, the bondage of human self-righteousness almost, and how people rely on it and advocate for it. I would encourage you in your efforts to try and secure this book or books like it, which actually give a clear portrayal of the obstacles to grace, the obstacles to a felt need for a redeemer, the obstacle which is the human condition of self-righteousness. And this book portrays through difficulty, that is through the Second World War and being a prisoner of war, of the reaching a point of humility and how challenging it is for certain men and women to do so. And yet we must pray that men and women experience this so that they might humble themselves before God and to receive Christ as the means by which they might live forever. So I highly recommend this book and encourage you to get it. It's Geoffrey Bingham, At the End of His Tether.